let yourself be still now. There is nothing more for you to do tonight. The day is behind you, finished, whether it was kind to you or whether it was hard, and it asks nothing further of you now. You can set it down. You can let your shoulders soften, and your hands grow loose and open, and your breath grow slow and deep and quiet, like wind moving through a forest at the very end of the light. Listen, the story I am going to tell you tonight is very old and very slow, and it asks nothing of you but that you rest. You do not need to remember it. You do not need to follow every word. The words are only a soft path for you to walk down until you fall asleep, and you are welcome to fall asleep at any time. Whenever your mind drifts, let it drift. Whenever your thoughts wander away from my voice, let them wander into the dark between the trees. That is exactly what is meant to happen here. Nothing in this story can frighten you. Whatever is strange in it is also fair, and whatever is dark in it leads, in the end, only home, and to light, and to rest. Tonight we go far to the east and far back in time, into the great old forests of the Slavic lands, where the birches stand pale and close together, and the snow lies blue under the moon. We go into a country of deep woods and low wooden houses, of long winters and longer nights, where people kept their fires burning against the cold and told their children stories while the wind walked around the eaves. And in that country, there lived a girl named Vasilisa, whom they called Vasilisa the Beautiful, though her beauty was the gentle kind, the kind that is mostly a quietness in the eyes and a kindness in the hands. I will tell you her story slowly, the way the old grandmothers told it, by the warmth of a stove, with the night pressing soft against the shutters. It is a story of a long walk through a dark forest, to a strange house at the heart of it and back again, and of the small light she was said to carry home. It is a journey, and you may walk it with her if you like, or you may simply lie here in the warm and let the journey happen on its own, the way a river goes on flowing whether or not anyone is watching it pass. So settle yourself, pull the warmth up around you, feel the bed beneath you holding all of your weight, so that you do not have to hold any of it yourself. The forest is far away, and you are safe here, and the only thing asked of you tonight is to grow heavy and slow and still, and to let the old story carry you down, gently, the way the snow comes down through the dark trees into sleep. Let your breathing find its own slow rhythm now, without you needing to guide it. Breathe in, softly, the cool, clean air of the night, and let it out again, longer and slower than you drew it in, and feel how, with each breath out, a little more of the day's holding loosens and lets go. There is no hurry in any of this. The story will wait for you. It has waited 1,000 years already, told by firelight in countless winters, and it is in no rush tonight, and neither are you. You have nowhere to be but here, beneath the warm covers, in the quiet, with the night settling soft around the room like snow settling over a sleeping wood. Let each part of you grow still in turn. Let your feet grow heavy and warm. Let your legs grow heavy. Let the long muscles of your back soften into the bed. Let your jaw unclench and your brow grow smooth. And the small held places around your eyes let go at last. There, that is the beginning of rest and the beginning of the road. Long ago, in a house at the edge of one of those great forests, there lived a merchant and his wife and their only daughter, Vasilisa. They were not rich, but they were warm, and the house was a happy one in those early years, full of the small good sounds of a family at ease. And of all the things in that house, the one that mattered most to this story was a gift the mother gave to Vasilisa when the girl was still very small. For the mother grew ill, as mothers in old stories sometimes do, and feeling that her time was drawing near, she called her young daughter to her bedside one evening in the failing light. From beneath her pillow, she drew out a tiny doll, no bigger than the girl's own hand, dressed in a little kerchief and a little skirt sewn from scraps of bright cloth. And she pressed this small doll into Vasilisa's palm and closed the girl's fingers around it. "Keep this doll always," the mother said softly. "Keep it with you and tell no one that you have it. And whenever you are in trouble, or whenever you do not know what to do, give the doll a little to eat and a little to drink, and tell it what is wrong, and it will help you. It will always help you." And with those words, and with her hand resting gently on her daughter's hair, the good mother closed her eyes and slipped away and was gone. So Vasilisa kept the doll. She carried it close, in a pocket near her heart, and she told no one of it, just as her mother had asked. And in the hard years that followed, that small doll became her one quiet comfort, the last warm thing left to her from the mother she had lost. Let yourself feel, for a moment, how much can be held in something so small. A tiny doll, a little kerchief, a scrap of bright cloth, and folded inside it, somehow, all the love of a mother, and all the patience, and all the steady help that love keeps giving even after the one who gave it is gone. There is something worth resting in here, before the story goes on. The mother was gone, and that was a sorrow, the kind of sorrow that does not leave entirely. But the love did not go with her. The love stayed, folded small into a little doll with a bright kerchief, close against a child's heart. And so it is. The old story seems to say, with every love that has ever been given to us, the ones who loved us may go on ahead into the dark, but what they gave us stays and keeps us and helps us still long after, in ways we do not always see. Let that be a quiet comfort to carry down into sleep tonight, that nothing truly kind is ever altogether lost. In time, as old stories go, the merchant married again, for the house was lonely and the winters were long. He took a new wife who came with 2 daughters of her own, and on the day they arrived, the house grew colder, though the stove still burned as bright as ever. For the stepmother did not love Vasilisa, and her 2 daughters did not love her either, and being jealous of her gentleness and her quiet beauty, they set themselves to make her life small and hard. They gave her the heaviest work and the longest hours. They sent her out into the wind and the cold to fetch and carry while they sat warm by the fire. They gave her the least of the food and the meanest corner to sleep in, and they spoke to her sharply, and they found fault with everything her hands made, however well she made it, and Vasilisa bore it all without complaint. She rose before the others and lay down after them, and she did every task they set her, and she grew, if anything, only quieter and gentler under the weight of it, the way a stone in a stream grows smooth. But here is the secret that kept her from breaking. Each night, when the house was asleep, Vasilisa would take out her little doll in the dark of her corner. She would give it a few crumbs of her small supper and a few drops of water, and she would whisper to it all the sorrows of her day. And the doll, the old story says, would take the food, and its little eyes would shine in the dark like two small candles, and it would comfort her. And in the night, while she slept, the doll would do her hardest tasks for her. It would weed the garden and water the cabbages and bring the water and lay the fire, so that when Vasilisa woke, the worst of her work was already done. And so she endured year after year, sustained by that small secret help, and growing always more beautiful and more kind. Now there came a time, as the years turned, when the merchant had to travel far away on business, off for many months to a distant city, leaving Vasilisa and the stepmother and the two stepsisters alone together in the house at the forest's edge. And once he was gone, the stepmother grew bolder in her unkindness and began, quietly, to wish that Vasilisa would simply disappear. So she sold the warm house in the town, the old story says, and moved them all to a small dark cottage at the very edge of the deep forest, close up against the wall of the great trees. It was a gloomy place, far from neighbors, with the woods looming dark and tall just beyond the garden fence. And the stepmother chose it on purpose, for a reason she kept to herself, because near that place, deep in the forest, in a clearing that everyone feared, there lived an old and powerful being whose name was Baba Yaga. You have perhaps heard that name before, and heard it told in a frightening way, but let me tell you of her gently, the way the truest tellers told it. Baba Yaga was old, older than the forest itself, an ancient power of the woods. She lived in a strange little hut that stood upon two great hen's legs, so that it could turn about and walk where it pleased. Around her clearing ran a fence made of bone, and on the posts of the fence sat skulls whose empty eyes glowed at night like lanterns. She rode through the forest, not in a carriage, but in a great mortar, the kind for grinding grain, driving it along with a pestle and sweeping away her tracks behind her with a broom of birch. And yes, she was fearsome to look upon, and yes, those who came to her foolishly or cruelly did not always return. But she was not wicked, not exactly. She was something older than good or wicked. She was the wild old power of the forest itself, fierce and strange, but fair. She kept her bargains. She honored those who were honest and brave and well-mannered, and she gave them what she had promised. She was like the deep winter, or the dark itself, hard but honest, and dangerous only to those who did not respect her. Hold that in your mind as the story goes on, and let it keep you easy. The old woman of the wood is terrible, but she is fair. And Vasilisa, as you will see, had nothing to fear from being fair in return. Now, on a certain dark autumn evening, the stepmother set her plan in motion. She gave each of the three girls a task to do by candlelight, and then, one by one, she let every fire in the cottage go out, until there was no flame left anywhere in the house. Not in the stove, not on the hearth, not a single candle. The cottage went black and cold, and the dark of the great forest pressed in at the windows, and the wind moved in the trees outside like something breathing. And then the stepmother and her daughters pretended to discover, with false dismay, that there was no fire left in all the house, and no way to light their work or warm their hands. "There is no help for it," the stepmother said, turning her cold eyes on Vasilisa in the dark. "Someone must go and fetch fire, and it cannot be one of my own girls, for they are needed here. You must go, Vasilisa. You must go into the forest, to the house of Baba Yaga, and bring us back a light." The two stepsisters smiled in the dark, for they knew, as their mother knew, what it meant to send a girl alone at night into the forest of Baba Yaga. They believed they were sending her to her doom, and that she would never come back, and that the old woman of the wood would be the end of her. And Vasilisa stood in the cold, dark cottage, with the great forest waiting black outside the door, and felt her heart go small and afraid within her. But Vasilisa did not weep, and she did not refuse, for she was gentle, but she was not weak, and she had learned long ago that some things must simply be walked through. She went quietly to her dark corner, and there, where no one could see, she took out her little doll. She gave it a few crumbs and a few drops of water, as her mother had taught her, and she whispered to it through her fear, "I am sent into the forest, to the house of Baba Yaga, to fetch fire, and they say that no one comes back from there. I am afraid. Tell me what to do." And in the dark, the little doll's eyes shone up at her, two small steady lights, and a quiet feeling came into Vasilisa, a feeling like a warm hand laid over a cold one. "Do not be afraid," the doll seemed to say to her, in that small voice that was almost like her own thoughts, but warmer. "Go where you are sent. Only keep me with you, in your pocket, close to your heart. And while I am with you, no harm will come to you. Go now, and we will go together." And Vasilisa felt her fear grow quiet, not gone, but smaller and bearable, the way a candle makes a dark room bearable without driving out all the shadows. So she wrapped herself in her warmest things, and she put the little doll deep in her pocket close against her heart, and she opened the cottage door, and she stepped out alone into the night and the forest. Behind her, the door closed, and the unkind house with its cold hearth was shut away, and before her stood the great old wood, dark and tall and waiting, with a narrow path winding off between the trees and away into the deep. Walk with her now, slowly if you like, or simply watch her go. The path was faint underfoot, a thread of bare earth between the roots, and the birch trees stood close on either side, their white bark glimmering faintly in what little light there was. It was very dark beneath the trees, and very quiet, the deep, listening quiet of a forest at night, where every small sound, the snap of a twig, the soft fall of a leaf, seems to travel a long way through the stillness, and the air was cold and clean and smelled of pine and of damp earth, and of the coming of winter. She walked and she walked, and the forest went on and on. The path wound between the pale trunks, dipping down into hollows where the dark pooled thick, rising again over low ridges where the trees thinned and a little starlight reached the ground. Sometimes she could hear, far off, the sounds of the night woods, the call of some bird, the small rustle of some creature moving through the leaves, the wind passing high in the tops of the trees with a sound like the sea. But nothing troubled her. With the doll close against her heart, the fear stayed small, and she walked on through the dark with a strange growing calm, as though the forest, for all its size and shadow, had decided to let her pass. And as she walked, the forest seemed to grow gentler around her, not less dark, but less strange, the way any place grows familiar when you have walked in it long enough. The pale birches that had seemed to crowd close now seemed only to stand quietly by, like tall, patient watchers letting her pass. The hollows of deep shadow that had seemed to hide things now seemed only soft pools of rest, places where the dark gathered to lie down. Even the cold seemed to soften. Or perhaps it was only that she had stopped fighting it and let it be simply the cold of a winter night, clean and bracing and alive. On and on she went, and the path unwound before her, and the night held her gently, and she was not harmed, and she was not lost. Let the rhythm of that walking carry you now. One slow step, and then another, along a dim, soft path through endless pale trees in the great hush of the night forest. There is nowhere to hurry to. There is nothing to fear. There is only the walking, and the dark trees, and the cold, clean air, and the small, warm light of the doll held close, going on, deeper and deeper into the quiet heart of the wood. Let your own breath be her footsteps. Let each slow breath be one soft step along the path, and the next breath another, and the next another, carrying you with her, deeper and deeper into the soft dark, where there is nothing at all to do but walk and breathe, and let yourself be carried down toward sleep. Now, as Vasilisa walked through that long night, the old story says, a strange and beautiful thing happened to her 3 times over, and I will tell it to you slowly, for it is one of the gentlest wonders in the whole tale. She had been walking a long while in the deep dark, when, all at once, she heard the sound of a horse coming. The drum of hooves swelled through the trees behind her, and she stepped aside from the narrow path, and a rider went galloping past her in the gloom. But this was no ordinary rider. He was dressed all in white from head to foot, and he rode a white horse with a white mane and white harness. And as he passed, a pale glimmering whiteness went with him, the first faint thinning of the dark, and as he rode on ahead and vanished among the trees, the deep black of the night began, very softly, to lift toward the gray of earliest dawn. He was the rider of the daybreak, and where he passed, the day began to come. Vasilisa walked on through that growing gray, and after a time, she heard hooves again, and again she stepped aside, and a second rider came galloping past. This one was dressed all in glowing red from head to foot, and he rode a blood-red horse with a flaming red mane, and as he passed, a warm red light went with him, and away in the east, beyond the trees, the sun began to rise. He was the rider of the bright day, the red rider of the sunrise, and where he passed, the morning came up golden over the forest, and the dark was gone, and the wood stood bright and quiet in the new light. So Vasilisa walked on through the whole of that day, deeper and deeper into the forest, and at last, toward evening, she came near to the place she had been sent, and just as she drew near, she heard hooves a third time, and a third rider came galloping past her in the failing light. This one was dressed all in black from head to foot, and he rode a coal-black horse with a black mane, and as he passed, a deep blue darkness came down with him over the world, and the day's light failed, and the night came on. He was the rider of the nightfall, the black rider of the dark, and where he passed, the evening fell soft over the forest, and the first stars came out cold and clear above the trees. These were the 3 servants of Baba Yaga. The old story says, the rider of the dawn, and the rider of the day, and the rider of the night, the white and the red and the black. And it was they who brought the morning and the daylight and the darkness, turning the great wheel of the day around and around the world. And Vasilisa, who had walked from one night through a whole bright day and into the next nightfall, had watched the turning of that wheel pass her on the road. 3 riders, 3 colors, the day made and unmade before her eyes. There was something deeply calming in it, Vasilisa found. To have watched the whole turning of a day pass her on the forest road, the dark, and then the gray, and then the gold, and then the gold fading back to dark again. The great slow wheel of light turning once around the world while she walked beneath it. It made her own small journey feel held inside something far larger and far older, something that had been turning long before she was born and would go on turning long after, steady and sure and never failing. The dawn would always come, the day would always rise, and the dark would always return in its time, soft and blue and kind, to let the world lie down and rest. There was no need to fear any part of that turning. It was simply the way of things, the oldest way there is. Let that turning hold you gently now. The white rider and the dawn, the red rider and the day, the black rider and the dark coming down again, soft and blue over a quiet forest. It is the oldest rhythm there is, the turning of light into dark and dark back into light. The same wheel that turns now over the roof above you, bringing this night, which will turn in its own time toward a morning you do not have to wait for and do not have to hurry toward. There is nothing for you to do to make the morning come. It comes on its own, carried by its own rider, in its own good time. Your only task tonight is the dark one, the easy one, the resting one. The black rider has passed. The dark has come down. And under the dark, it is right and good simply to rest. And so, as the black rider's darkness settled over the forest, Vasilisa came at last to the clearing at the heart of the wood and saw before her the dwelling of Baba Yaga. She stopped at the edge of the trees and looked, and let yourself look with her, slowly, for it was a strange and wonderful sight. In the middle of a wide clearing stood a small wooden hut, an old hut with a steep roof, and it stood not upon the ground, but upon two enormous legs, the great scaly yellow legs of a hen, that held it up off the earth and could carry it about where it wished. As Vasilisa watched, the hut shifted a little upon its legs, turning slowly this way and that, the way a great old bird settles itself before roosting. Around the clearing ran a fence, and the fence was made of bone, pale in the dark, and set upon its posts were skulls, and in the eyes of the skulls there glowed a soft light, so that the whole fence shone faintly all around the clearing like a ring of dim lanterns. By the light of those glowing skulls, the clearing was lit, a soft and eerie gold, neither bright nor dark, the strange half-light of a threshold place at the edge of the known world. It should have frightened her, perhaps, but Vasilisa stood quiet at the edge of the trees, with the doll warm against her heart, and felt only a deep stillness, as one feels at the edge of something very old and very powerful that means one no harm if one is honest. And then, with a great rushing sound, Baba Yaga herself came home. She came flying through the trees and into the clearing in her great stone mortar, driving it along with the pestle held in her hand, and sweeping away her path behind her with a broom of birch twigs. Just as the old story said, she was ancient beyond telling, bent and bony, with a long nose and sharp old eyes, fearsome to look upon. She drove her mortar to a stop before the hut, and there she paused and lifted her nose and sniffed the air. "I smell a stranger here," she said in a voice like the creak of an old tree in the wind. "Who has come to my house in the forest?" And Vasilisa, though her heart beat hard, stepped forward out of the shadow of the trees into the soft gold light of the skulls. She bowed low, very low, in the proper old way, and she spoke gently and honestly. "It is I, grandmother. It is Vasilisa. My stepmother and her daughters have sent me to you to ask for fire. For our hearth has gone dark and cold, and we have no light in all the house." Baba Yaga looked at her a long, long moment with her sharp old eyes, taking the measure of her. And then something in the old woman seemed to settle, for she saw that the girl was honest and brave and well-mannered and unafraid in the right way, the way that is not foolishness, but respect. "Ah," said Baba Yaga slowly, "I know them, I know that household. Well, you may have your fire, Vasilisa, but nothing in my house is given for nothing. First, you must stay and live with me a while, and do the work I set you. Serve me well, and you shall have your light. Serve me badly, and here, she only smiled her old terrible smile and said no more and did not need to. But Vasilisa bowed again and said, "I will serve you, grandmother," for she was not afraid, with the doll close against her heart, and she knew that fair work fairly done had nothing to fear from a power that was, above all, fair. And so Baba Yaga brought her into the hut on its hinds legs, into the glow of the strange old house, to begin. Inside, the hut was warm and lit by the soft glow of the skull lights through the windows, and Baba Yaga sat herself down and called for her supper, and Vasilisa served her, bringing her food enough for 10 people. For the old woman of the forest ate as the forest eats, hugely and without waste. And when Baba Yaga had eaten her fill, she looked at the girl with her sharp old eyes and laid out the work that must be done. "Tomorrow," she said, "while I am away in the forest, you will sweep the whole yard clean, and you will sweep the whole hut clean, and you will cook my dinner. And then, listen well, you will take the wheat from my storehouse, and you will pick through every grain of it, and take out all the black bits and the bad seeds, so that nothing is left but clean good wheat. All of it, every grain, by the time I come home. And if it is not done," and again she only smiled and said no more. Then she lay down to sleep, and the hut grew quiet, and Vasilisa was left alone with a labor that no single pair of hands could finish in a year. It was an impossible task, set on purpose to be impossible, as such tasks always are in the old stories. The yard was wide, and the hut was large, and the wheat was a whole storehouse full, mountains of it, grain past counting, all to be picked through one seed at a time. And Vasilisa felt the old smallness and fear rising up in her again, the despair of a thing that cannot be done, but she did not let it carry her away. Instead, she went quietly into a corner, and she took out her little doll, and she gave it a few crumbs from her supper and a few drops of water, and she whispered to it, "The old woman has set me work that cannot be done. Help me, as you have always helped me. Tell me what to do." And the doll's eyes shone up at her, soft and steady in the dark, and that warm, quiet feeling came over her again. "Do not be afraid, Vasilisa," it seemed to say. "Lie down, say your prayers, and go to sleep. The morning is wiser than the evening. All will be well." And though the work loomed huge over her, Vasilisa trusted the small, warm voice as she had trusted it all her life, and she lay down in the glowing hut, and she let go of the impossible task, and she slept. Feel how good that is, the letting go of it. The work was too great, and she set it down, and she slept, and she let something patient and loving take it up while she rested. You may do the very same thing now. Whatever loomed too large in your own day, whatever could not be finished, whatever pressed on you like a mountain of grain that cannot be sorted in a single night, you may set it down now, exactly as she did, and trust that the morning is wiser than the evening, and let yourself sleep while it is taken care of. And in the night, while Vasilisa slept, the little doll went quietly to work, the old story says. It swept the wide yard clean. It swept the whole hut clean. It set the dinner cooking. And then it went to the great mountains of wheat, and grain by grain, in the dark, it picked out every black bit and every bad seed all through the night, tirelessly, with a patience and a love that did not tire, until by the gray of the first morning every task was done, the yard clean, the hut clean, the dinner ready, and the wheat lying clean and sorted and good. And Vasilisa slept on and knew nothing of it, and woke at dawn to find all the impossible labor finished, and the doll resting quiet in her pocket once again. So it went, the old story says, for a few days. The old woman setting Vasilisa labors that could not be done, and the doll doing them in the night while the girl slept, so that each morning Baba Yaga came home to find her every task completed, the yard swept, the hut clean, the grain sorted, the poppy seeds cleaned of all their dust, every impossible thing made possible and done. And Baba Yaga, for all her fierce old wisdom, could find no fault and no excuse to do the girl any harm, for the work was always done and done well. And Vasilisa, living in that strange glowing hut at the heart of the forest, came in time to feel almost at peace there, in a way she had never expected. The days had their own quiet rhythm. She rose, and she served the old woman, and she watched her drive off into the trees in her great mortar. And then the long day was her own, to keep the house and tend the fire and wait. And each night she set down the impossible work, and slept, and woke to find it done. There was a strange comfort in it, the comfort of a place where the rules were hard but clear, where fairness was kept, where if you did what was right, you came to no harm. It was not a warm place, and it was not a kind place, but it was an honest place, and Vasilisa, who had lived so long among the unkind, found that she could rest even here so long as she was fair, and so long as the little doll lay warm against her heart through every night. At last there came an evening when Baba Yaga, having found once more that all her impossible tasks were finished, looked at Vasilisa with a new and searching look in her sharp old eyes. "Tell me, Vasilisa," she said, "how is it that you are able to do all the work I set you, every impossible bit of it, and never fail? How do you do it?" And Vasilisa, who was honest, and who knew that with this old fair power, honesty was the only safe road, answered as much of the truth as she dared. "I am helped, grandmother," she said gently, "by the blessing of my mother. By the memory of my mother, who loved me, that is what helps me." She did not speak of the doll, for that was her secret, but she spoke truly, for the doll was her mother's love, given form. And so what she said was true to the very heart of it. When Baba Yaga heard the word blessing, the old story says, she started and her face changed. "A blessing?" she cried. "You carry a mother's blessing into my house? Then away with you. I will have nothing blessed beneath my roof. Take your fire and go." For Baba Yaga was the old wild power of the forest, and a mother's blessing was a power of a different and gentler kind, a kind that had no place in her bone-fenced clearing, and she would not keep it near her. But notice, even here, that she was fair. She did not harm the girl. She was only sending her home. and giving her exactly what she had promised. So Baba Yaga took Vasilisa out into the clearing, into the soft glow of the skull lights upon the fence, and she lifted down one of the skulls from its post, one of the skulls whose empty eyes glowed from within with that strange steady fire, and she set it upon the end of a stick, and she put the stick into Vasilisa's hands. "There," she said, "there is your fire. There is the light you were sent to fetch. Take it home to your stepmother and her daughters, and may it serve them as they deserve. Now go, and do not come back." And so Vasilisa, holding before her the glowing skull upon its stick, its eyes shining out a soft and steady golden light into the dark, turned and walked out of the clearing of Baba Yaga and back into the great forest to find her way home. And the strange light she carried went before her through the trees, casting its soft glow upon the pale birches and the dark path, so that she did not walk in darkness, but in a small moving circle of warm light all the long way home. Let yourself walk that homeward road with her now, slow and easy and unafraid. The hard part is behind her. The old woman's house is behind her. The impossible tasks are behind her. The long testing is over and past. All that is left is the quiet walk home through the night forest, with the small steady light held out before her, and the deep sense of a thing accomplished, a journey made all the way to its strange dark center, and now turning, at last, back toward home. She had gone into the deep wood, afraid, and she was coming out of it carrying light. There is no sweeter shape a story can have than that. And as she walked the long way back, Vasilisa felt something settle and quiet within her that had been afraid and tight for a very long time, longer than just this journey, longer perhaps than she could remember. She had been sent into the dark to be lost, and she was not lost. She had been sent to a fearsome power to be undone, and she had met it honestly and been let go, with a gift in her hands. All the smallness and fear that the cold house had pressed into her over the long years seemed to loosen now in the forest, dark, step by step, and fall away behind her among the trees. She was walking home, and she was carrying light, and she was unafraid, and she would never again be quite so easy to frighten as she had been before she walked into this wood. That is what the dark forest is truly for in the old stories. Not to harm you, to return you to yourself. Larger and quieter and less afraid than you went in, she walked through the rest of that night, and the white rider passed her again, bringing the dawn, and the red rider passed her, bringing the day. And she walked on through the daylight, with the strange skull light grown faint in the brightness, and toward evening, as the black rider brought the dark down once more, she came at last out of the trees, and saw before her the small dark cottage at the forest's edge, where her journey had begun. And here the old story gives a strange and quiet ending, and I will tell it to you softly, as the last thing before sleep. When Vasilisa came near the cottage in the dark, carrying the glowing skull upon its stick, she very nearly threw it away, for she thought, surely they have found some fire by now. Surely they no longer need this strange and eerie light. But as she lifted it to cast it aside, the light in the skull's eyes seemed to gaze at her, and a small voice seemed to bid her carry it on home, and so she did, bearing it the last of the way to the cottage door. Now, the old story says, all the long while that Vasilisa had been gone, the stepmother and the two stepsisters had been able to make no fire at all. Every spark they struck went out. Every flame they kindled died. The cottage had stood cold and dark the whole time, as though the dark itself were waiting for the one true light to be carried home. And so, when Vasilisa came at last through the door, holding before her the glowing skull, the stepmother and her daughters, who had been sitting in the cold and the gloom, were glad of the light and welcomed it into the house, the first warm glow they had seen in many days. But the old tellers tell what happened next more gently than it sounds, and so will I, for it is really only the old truth that hardness, in the end, undoes itself, while gentleness endures. The fierce light of Baba Yaga's gift, the old story says, would not abide the cruelty of that house, its steady glowing eyes fixed upon the stepmother and her daughters, and the strange fire of it, the fair fire of the old forest power, burned away at last all their long unkindness, until by the morning they were gone from the story, and troubled Vasilisa no more. The hardness had met a power harder than itself, and the gentle girl was free. And that is all we need to say of it tonight. The unkindness ended. The one who had borne it patiently was free of it at last. And so, Vasilisa was alone in the quiet cottage, free, with the long ordeal behind her. In time, the old story says, she left that gloomy place at the forest's edge and went to live in the town, where her gentleness and the fine work of her hands became known and loved, and where, in the fullness of time, all good things came to her, a place of her own, and warmth and company, and the long happy life that the patient and the kind so often find at the end of the hard road. Her father came home to her as she carried her little doll with her, always, close against her heart, all the rest of her days. Let the warmth of that ending fill the room around you now. The long, dark journey was made and survived and is over. The deep forest was walked all the way to its strange heart and back. The fire was fetched, the light was carried home, and the one who carried it, gentle and patient through all of it, came at last to rest and to warmth and to peace. There is a deep teaching folded soft into this old tale, and you do not have to hold it. Only let it warm you as you drift. It is that the dark forest is only a thing to be walked through, not feared. That the strange old powers of the world are fair to those who meet them with honesty and quiet courage. And that the love that is given to us, even the love of those we have lost, goes on helping us in the dark, doing our impossible tasks while we sleep, a small warm light carried always close against the heart. So let yourself rest now, as Vasilisa rests at the end of her long road. The forest is walked, the light is carried home, the journey is over, and there is nothing left but warmth and quiet and the deep, soft dark of a safe house at last. Feel the bed beneath you holding you, the way the homeward path held her steps. Feel the warmth around you, the warmth she walked so far to bring home. And somewhere close, like a tiny doll in a pocket near your heart, feel the steady, quiet presence of every kindness that has ever been given to you, watching over you while you sleep, doing the work of the night, keeping its small light burning in the dark. The black rider has passed. The dark has come down, soft and blue over the quiet forest. The long walk is finished. The fire is home. There is nothing left for you to do, and nowhere left to go, and no task left to finish tonight. Let my voice grow faint. Let the words blur into the warm dark. Let yourself sink, slow and deep and easy, down past the last thin edge of waking, with one small steady light burning gently beside you all the way down into sleep. Sleep now. The forest is walked. The light is home. Good night.